I am honored to be in this city where I was born and raised, in a family where my father was a teacher before joining the OAU, now the AU. I cannot help but wonder about this serendipity that has me speaking in Addis on the subject of education in a forum taking place at the AU. Coming to this event, the past came to me in the form of a cherished memory. I was 8 years old. It was at this season, 50 years ago, that I said something to my father which prompted him to teach me about atoms and molecules. And just in case you didn't get it, I was 8 years old. Actually, he said, they're very easy to understand. He sat down and transported me to a fantastic submolecular universe populated by emotionless neutrons, frantic electrons, and opportunistic protons. I entered a spectacular place that was totally stable at one moment, utterly chaotic in the next. I learned this fantastic submolecular universe was all around me, in every rock, in every leaf, and every drop of water. Unbeknownst to me, I was even holding this universe in my very hands, and the insight blew my mind. I had lots of questions which my father answered fully and patiently. I must tell you, I enjoyed my childhood so much that I haven't committed my experience to memory. Today, most of my childhood is a happy blur, but I clearly remember that impromptu physics lesson from my father. What I remember most is how the roles of father and son receded. We became two individuals bonded by his passion to teach and my budding passion to learn. The connection during the lesson was like a communion. I was awestruck at what I learned and how it was taught. In retrospect, I could not have been surprised in the least, and should not have been. My father had taught physical science and life science for over 30 years throughout Ethiopia before he joined the OAU. Soon after my physics lesson in our living room, I saw my father teach physics to a classroom full of teenage boys and girls. He described the interplay of atomic particles in terms that left these students breathless. They sat silent and rapt, anticipating his every word. What I had experienced in our living room was happening in that classroom. I saw him reach and teach 50 to 60 students, each as enthralled as I had been at home. Like all great teachers, my father did not just fill the minds of his students, he opened, expanded, and sharpened their minds. To experience the craft, the passion, and the love that great teachers share with their students is to understand what the American philosopher John Dewey said when he said, education is not preparation for life, education is life itself. You're probably familiar with the notion of flow in modern psychology. I'm serious, even if you're not familiar with it, you have actually experienced it. Flow occurs when you are completely absorbed with the activity at hand. It is a state where one is so focused on an activity that nothing else seems to matter. Nothing. Not time, not food, not ego. Flow stands at the intersection of action, thought, and bliss. A quality education builds each student's sense of concentration and self-discipline, the very qualities that enable us to experience flow in higher thinking. Flow is one of the finest experiences that you can provide to one person. It's one of the finest experiences that one can have in life. It is oxygen to the soul. John Dewey was right. Education is life itself. There is nothing we could give the children of Africa that could possibly be more powerful, more enduring, more liberating than the experience of flow. We know the stakes for Africa's children is life itself. We also know Africa's challenges to deliver flow. Last week, news outlets reported on the widest survey ever undertaken to measure student performance in mathematics and science. Of 76 countries in the survey, the highest position of any African nation was 64th. African countries were at the bottom of the rankings. At the top were the usual suspects: Singapore, followed by other countries of Asia. Last month, a BBC report stated that a 100-year gap in educational standards separates industrialized and developing countries. Poorer countries have average levels of education that many Western nations achieved 100 years ago. Regarding average levels of attainment, the BBC called the disparity a massive gap. In 2012, a paper from the US-based Brookings Institution said out of Africa's nearly 128 million school-aged children, 17 million will never attend school, and another 37 million will learn so little while they are in school that they will not be better off than those kids who never went to school. Such are the facts that define education in Africa. And they say facts are stubborn things. But stubborn as facts may be, we have bent them to our will whenever the stakes are high and our commitment adamant. Not so long ago, consumers had to reckon with the fact that a mobile phone weighed nearly 2 pounds, was the size of a brick, and in today's money cost over $9,000. As you can see, we have bent this fact to our will with cheaper, lighter, and today watch-size mobile phones. Not so long ago, it was a fact that HIV almost always led to AIDS, and a fact that AIDS meant certain death. But as you know, we have bent this fact to our will. And not so long ago, the fact that governed every aspect of South African society was apartheid. But this fact has also been bent to our will. To label an existing challenge as a fact, then cower before it, is absurd. Must we tremble at the stubbornness of so-called facts, fearing a set of circumstances might somehow rise as a sentient colossus commanding its own sense of power and purpose. Such thinking is absurd. It borders on superstition. However stubborn facts may be, we have bent them to our will. That is the fact about facts that has defined the human story. We can and have changed facts, and when we succeed, we call that progress. Every time the stakes have demanded it, we have risen to the occasion. In Ethiopia, we have a wonderful proverb. It says, "ቀስ በቀስ እንቁላል በእግሯ ትሄዳለች," which roughly means slowly but surely even an egg learns how to walk. Like that proverbial egg, education in Africa, slowly but surely, will not only walk, but take great strides. To chart this journey, we profit from following educational approaches that other parts of the world have successfully applied. I would like to suggest 4 strategies. Strategy 1, commit to education as a high, I take that back, as the highest priority, and sustain this commitment. Talking about facts, consider this fact. Singapore and several African nations became independent around the same time in the 1960s. At that time, Singapore and these newly independent African countries had nearly identical levels of education and GDP. Singapore's leader, Lee Kuan Yew, made education the highest priority, and he never wavered from his commitment. Not surprisingly, Singapore today boasts the highest educational standards in the world. Strategy 2, ensure students have the materials they need. Students need textbooks and they need reference materials, such as those found in a typical library. This is basic information. For industrialized countries with highly developed lines of communication and transport, distributing robust educational material is a straightforward matter of logistics. But for many African countries, providing even the most basic materials is an expensive proposition. Strategy 3, fit the instruction to meet the needs of each student. Consider a hypothetical elementary 3rd grade pupil who reads at the 1st grade level and performs at the 5th grade level in math. His school day is by turns frustratingly difficult, annoyingly easy. National educational systems operate by having a standardized approach to support every student, all students. But at the same time, we must find a way to cater to the unique requirements of individual students whose needs, in Africa especially, are anything but standard. Strategy 4, respect and honor and celebrate and value your teachers. Give them the tools they need to sharpen their skills, to have them grow. Lee Iacocca, one of America's best-known business executives, observed that in a completely rational society, the best of us would be teachers, and the rest of us would have to settle for something less. Because passing civilization along from one generation to the next ought to be the highest honor and the highest responsibility anyone could have. Ayakoka's completely rational, imaginary society has a name. It's called the country of Finland. There, teaching is the most respected of professions. The cream of Finland's students become teachers first, while lesser performing students must settle for working as doctors, lawyers, scientists, and foolish businessmen like me. Teachers in China are held in the same esteem as physicians. The people of South Korea are similarly respectful of teachers. In Finland, in China, in Korea, teachers are honored, are respected, are valued. Can we possibly be surprised that teachers in these countries deliver superb instruction to the young people day in and day out? Regarding tools for teachers to sharpen their skills, I learned from my father that the secret of being a great teacher is that there is no secret. The best teachers are those who have mastered their subject matter and incorporated the best practices into their pedagogical techniques. So, my friends, experience has shown us that 4 strategies work for national systems of education. Make and sustain a big commitment, deliver essential learning materials, customize lessons to suit each student, honor, respect, value your teachers, help them to excel. For decades, Africa seemingly faced insoluble problems to address each of these strategies. Problems of financial wherewithal, problems of geography, problems of infrastructure. My company, Yazmi, has developed a system that addresses the challenges preventing Africa from executing on these pivotal strategies for education. Essentially, the Yazmi system can deliver massive amounts of educational material directly to every student and every teacher without the need for internet or electricity. The Yazmi system comprises of 5 simple elements. The first element is a specially engineered satellite that currently, as we speak, covers every inch of the African continent and broadcasts directly to a tablet. The second element is the world's first and only satellite-enabled tablet, a device that ingeniously uses a very small antenna to receive content directly from the satellite without the need for internet connectivity. The third element is a solar power unit capable of charging the tablet when and where needed, obviating the need for electricity. The fourth element is an inexpensive classroom server that has its own intra-Wi-Fi to continually store satellite data transmissions. The student may have missed some of these transmissions from the satellite. It is reposited in the server. The server also functions as a content library. Finally, the server can pull data from every tablet, showing teacher and principal alike how the student used the tablet to perform on tests, on homeworks, how the student generally uses the information that he gets from the tablet. This data gives teachers and administrators valuable analytics for assessing learning outcomes. Finally, the fifth component of the Yazmi system is content. And here our focus is intense. The environment demands no less from us. Our world is a highly competitive place, and we want Africa's students to compete with success. Accordingly, we're planning to deliver a blend of the best educational material available to the top 1% of the best performing students around the world. In effect, we are working on a plan to deliver a world-class school on each tablet. Our initial focus will be to deliver reading, math, and sciences with a robust library of books to help the children and the teachers expand their knowledge and inspire the love for continuous education. The content will be organized to allow every student to progress at his or her pace. Additionally, we plan to have content that provides a lesson-by-lesson training for teachers, as well as an extensive library for their personal and professional development. Yazmi is committed to empower Africa to execute on educational strategies proven to work. African governments and their private sector can leverage the Yazmi solution to improve teacher performance and reverse lagging learning outcomes. In sum, Yazmi is ready to effectively and economically provide abundant support to teachers and students alike across the continent. We are looking for partners. We are looking to partner with governments, with civil society, with the private sector. And we want to roll out our solution together with partners. In Africa, we say if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. We want desperately to go far. We want very sincerely to go far with you. We are here to have these conversations so we may forge disciplined, energetic, focused alliances. Mindful of the imperative to focus, let me conclude by returning to the phenomenon of flow. We experience flow through activity, so it is possible to find flow anywhere in the activities of harvesting a fruit, driving a truck, weaving a basket, sweeping a street. But when I think of the millions of girls and boys across Africa, I wish them to achieve flow writing code. Again, I wish them to achieve flow writing code, reading scholarly text, negotiating treaties, practicing nuclear medicine, perhaps most of all, finding flow by modeling flow as they teach math, science, humanities, and language to fulfill their sacred duty of passing civilization to their next generation. Thank you so much for this honor to speak before you.